The Story King. The iron doors swung open, and 300 women held their breath. But King Aldric's eyes were already searching for the one face that wasn't there. The Grand Hall of Silvercrest had never held such silence. Centuries of tradition dictated this moment, the choosing ceremony, where the Alpha King would select his mate from the most beautiful, accomplished women the 5 kingdoms could offer. They stood in perfect lines, draped in silks and jewels, their hearts hammering against their ribs as the most powerful man in the realm entered. King Aldric Thornright was a force of nature wrapped in flesh. At 6'5", his presence alone commanded submission. His dark hair fell just past his collar, and his eyes, those legendary silver eyes that could freeze a man's blood or ignite a woman's desire, swept across the sea of hopeful faces with cold indifference. "Your Majesty," Chancellor Veronus bowed deeply, his elaborate robes pooling on the marble floor. "The daughters of nobility await your selection. Each has been vetted, trained, and prepared to stand beside you as queen." Aldrich said nothing. His jaw tightened as he descended the grand staircase, each footfall echoing like a death knell. The women straightened, presenting themselves like prized horses at auction. Lady Celestine of the Northern Reach pushed her chest forward. Duchess Marietta smiled seductively. Princess Alara of the Eastern Shores let her golden hair cascade over one bare shoulder. He walked past them all. A murmur rippled through the crowd. This wasn't how it was supposed to happen. The king was meant to at least pretend to consider them, to walk the lines, perhaps exchange a word or two before making his choice. But Aldrich moved with singular purpose, his massive frame cutting through the assembly like a ship through still water. "Your Majesty." Veronus's voice cracked with confusion. "Perhaps you'd like to. Where is she?" Aldrich's voice was gravel and thunder. The Chancellor blinked. "Where is, who, my lord?" "The girl who tends the East Garden. The one with dirt under her fingernails and thorns in her hair." His silver eyes finally fixed on Veronus, and the old man actually stumbled backward. "Where is she?" The gathered nobility gasped. Several women exchanged horrified glances. "A gardener." The Alpha King was asking for a common gardener. I don't understand, Your Majesty. The ceremony can wait." Aldrich turned on his heel and strode toward the garden doors, leaving 300 rejected women and a hall full of stunned courtiers in his wake. Mira didn't know about the ceremony. Well, she knew of it. Everyone in the kingdom knew the king would choose his mate today. But such things existed in a different world, one of silken politics and people who'd never worked a day in their lives. Her world was simpler: soil, seeds, and the stubborn roses that refused to bloom in the eastern corner no matter what she tried. She was elbow deep in earth when his shadow fell across her. "You missed the ceremony." Mira nearly jumped out of her skin. She looked up, squinting against the sun, and saw him. The Alpha King, standing in her garden, looking at her like she was the only person who existed in the entire realm. "Your Majesty." She scrambled to her feet, hastily wiping her hands on her already filthy apron. Her hair was a disaster. She could feel the tangles, probably had leaves in it again. I'm so sorry, I didn't know I was supposed to." "You weren't." He stepped closer, and Mira's breath caught. She'd seen him from a distance during royal processions, but nothing prepared her for the overwhelming presence of him up close. He radiated power like heat from a forge, and those silver eyes, they saw everything. The ceremony was for the nobility, for women groomed since birth to be queen. "Oh," she swallowed hard. "Then, why are you here?" The corner of his mouth twitched, almost a smile. 3 weeks ago, I came to this garden. I couldn't sleep, haven't slept properly in months, and I needed air. You were here, in the moonlight, singing to your roses." Mira's cheeks burned. You heard that. You told them they were being stubborn, that they were beautiful even without blooms, but you knew they could be magnificent if they'd just trust you." He moved closer still, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his gaze. "Do you know what I saw in that moment?" She shook her head, not trusting her voice. Someone who sees potential where others see failure. Someone who speaks with kindness even to things that can't answer back. Someone who finds joy in making things grow. His hand rose, and Mira froze as he gently pulled a small twig from her hair. Someone real. I'm just a gardener, she whispered. You're honest. In a palace full of lies and manipulation, you're honest. His voice dropped lower, rougher. Do you know how rare that is? How precious. Mira's heart thundered so hard she was certain he could hear it. Your Majesty, there are 300 women in that hall who are more suitable. I don't want suitable. The intensity in his eyes made her knees weak. I've been surrounded by suitable my entire life. Suitable advisors who tell me what I want to hear. Suitable allies who smile while plotting my downfall. Suitable women who see a crown, not a man. What do you want? The question escaped before she could stop it. Aldric reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, his fingers brushed her cheek, leaving a trail of fire in their wake. I want someone who'll tell me when I'm wrong. Who'll fight with me when I'm being stubborn. Who sees me, Aldric, not the king. His thumb traced her jawline. I want you. You don't know me, Mira breathed, even as she unconsciously leaned into his touch. I've watched you for 3 weeks. I've seen you give your breakfast to the street children who sneak through the garden wall. I've watched you cover the tender plants during cold nights, staying up to make sure they survive. I've heard you laugh with the other servants, never cruel, never petty. His other hand came up to cup her face, gentle despite his overwhelming strength. I know enough. The court will never accept. I am the Alpha King. Steel entered his voice. They'll accept what I choose, or they'll face consequences they won't enjoy. Then, softer, but I won't force this on you, Mira. If you want me to walk away, I will. Her name on his lips sent shivers down her spine. How do you know my name? I made it my business to know everything about you. He smiled then, really smiled, and the transformation was breathtaking. The cold, brutal king became something warmer, more human. Your favorite color is the deep purple of twilight. You hum while you work. You're afraid of thunderstorms but you refuse to hide from them. And you have a scar on your left palm from where you grabbed a knife that was falling toward a child. Mira stared at him, this powerful man who'd noticed her in ways no one ever had. This is insane. Completely. His forehead touched hers, and she felt the tremor that ran through his powerful frame. I'm supposed to make a political alliance. Choose someone who brings power or territory or armies to our union. His breath ghosted across her lips. Instead, I'm standing in a garden, begging a woman with dirt under her nails to give me a chance. You don't beg, she whispered. You're the king. With you, I'd beg. The raw honesty in those words cracked something open in her chest. I'd crawl if that's what it took. For a long moment, they stood there, the garden blooming around them, the chaos of the ceremony forgotten. Mira's mind raced. This was crazy, impossible. She was nobody, nothing, completely unsuitable for. His finger touched her lips. I can hear you thinking. Stop listing all the reasons this won't work and tell me the one reason it might. She looked into those silver eyes and saw something she never expected, hope. This man who commanded armies, who could have anything he wanted with a word, was hoping she'd say yes. Because, she said slowly, her hand coming up to cover his where it still cupped her cheek, when you walked into my garden, you didn't command. You asked. The smile that broke across his face was like sunrise. Is that a yes? It's a maybe. She managed a shaky laugh. I need time too. Take all the time you need. He kissed her forehead, a gesture so tender it brought tears to her eyes. I'll be in that hall, sending away 300 disappointed women. And then I'll be in my chambers, not sleeping again, thinking about the gardener who makes roses bloom and king's hope. He pulled back slightly. But Mira, yes, I'm a patient man about many things. But when I know what I want. His eyes glowed silver, and for the first time, she felt the full weight of his alpha power, the primal force that made him king. I don't give up, ever. Then he was gone, striding back toward the palace, leaving her trembling in her garden. Mira sank onto her bench, staring at her dirt-stained hands. In the distance, she heard the eruption of chaos from the Grand Hall, angry voices, shocked exclamations, the Chancellor's desperate attempts to restore order. And underneath it all, she heard her roses rustle in the breeze, as if laughing at the absurdity of it all. A gardener and a king. It was madness, but as she touched her cheek where his hand had been, feeling the lingering warmth of his touch, Mira smiled. Perhaps the best things always were a little mad. In her peripheral vision, she saw the stubborn roses in the eastern corner, the ones that never bloomed. As if in response to the afternoon's events, a single bud had cracked open, revealing deep purple petals the color of twilight. Her favorite color. His words echoed in her mind, someone who sees potential where others see failure. Maybe, just maybe, they could help each other bloom. The Story King, where every tale finds its crown.